So what I want to do this evening, I want to take a couple of moments. I had written down a couple of notes first because this attention came during one of the classes about why do you practice, for example, in push hands, you have what is called, in the Tai Chi classics, Ryan and I were talking about earlier, it'll say when your enemy moves fast, you move fast. When your enemy moves slow, when the enemy's momentum is slow, you move slow, okay? Now, if y'all can't hear me, you'll need to come on up. So part of that is in the push hands practice, so that when you're practicing, the first things that you learn to listen to in push hands is slowness and quickness, and then hardness and softness. Those are the four primary things. Now, the reason that those are so primary is because the Tai Chi is built around them, right? And you're not just, this is where skills come into play. Listening is a skill, right? It's not a technique, it's a skill. You practice it in whatever you try to do. The reason that this is so important for you is that in the skill of listening, when he's coming at me, okay, I'm learning to yield. Okay, because he's coming, so I'm learning to yield to an oncoming force, right? The harder, the faster, the more yielding that I'm going to need to do, right? But the real skill is perception. We had a couple of mental meals on the perceptions, and that perception has to exist before realization exists. You have to perceive something before you realize what it is or what's happening. Okay, so you're practicing the skill of yielding as you perceive his speed. And that's what you're trying to practice, is learning to listen. Now, as he's coming back, he's the one that has to be at 100% attention so that he can keep himself safe. I'm adhering to him as he withdraws and yields, but it's the receiver that has to be at 100% attention of the hardness and softness and quickness and slowness of their classmate's practice. And the better the classmate is in hiding it, the more your perception has to go up. Now, that could be true in language, it could be true in a number of different things. But the reason that I wanted to bring it up is because the military has a whole program that's called delay operations. Delay operations is when they start to see and feel in an operation that the enemy is doing something a little different, okay? And they'll slow down their pace, they'll slow down their tactics, because sometimes in places, there's three main ingredients of battle. And when it comes to one-on-one or criminal activity, what's the three main things that most criminals are going to use to take advantage of you? If you don't know these, you need to jot them down, okay? Space is one of them. Surprise, okay? Surprise is timing. Space, timing, and intensity. Those are the three main things that they're going to use. Say that again to yourself. Space, timing, and intensity, right? When you're learning to practice timing as a leader of yourself and as of other people, sometimes we have to practice timing, because as a leader you either make unwise decisions or you make untimely decisions. You all agree with that?
Is space kind of similar to location?
Space is location, yeah. You know, space is not just the distance, it's also the angles. The spatial relationship that you have or they have to you, okay? So that relationship evolves. That's why Bakwa is so tough, because it tries to account for the three dimensions of space the whole time you practice it, right? Tai Chi is like a rubber ball. It's trying to practice a little bit more of a buoy type of approach to space. So, but those three things is what most criminals are going to use to take advantage of you. So when you're practicing your timing, sometimes when we're practicing things slowly, especially like, for example, when you're doing the roll back, you know, and you're learning to yield, this is a yielding expression, and then it comes up with an adhering expression, right? That I'm going to practice this ebb and flow. Let me see if there's anything else. Like I said, the military uses the delayed operation. And the reason for that is because a lot of times people will trade space to give themselves more time. I'm one of those people, usually. I will buy myself a little space, right, to slow you down by creating pain. If I can create enough pain, you're going to give me some time, okay? And you see it all the time. You grab somebody, you know, really hard, and you see their body flinch up just a little bit. You just bought yourself a moment, okay? So sometimes you can inflict pain to give yourself a little time, and it's just part of the whole process. In psychology today, there's two things they usually talk about, and that the realization of timing is an internal art. Because if you and I'm sure if any of you ever had it, something that affected your life happens. Maybe it's a car wreck. Maybe somebody starts to pull out in front of you. You know, something that's very alert, time slows down in your perception of it. Even though the clock still moves at the same pace, right? Your understanding of time changes in those moments. And as they were talking about, they said that the perceiving, thinking, and acting faster amounts to an advantage of survival. Thinking, perceiving was the first thing they said. Perceiving, thinking, and acting faster is the advantages of survival. And that's exactly what we were talking about. You learning to practice so that not only you just doing the techniques, you know, you learn to perceive. If I was feeling something coming, that I give with it, I yield with it. Doesn't mean I'm a wussy who's just backing off. It just means as I'm yielding, I'm also trying to create myself an advantage, right? Yielding without creating yourself an advantage is just basically withdrawal and praying, right? You're just trying to back up and hoping they don't do anything else. Yielding is, at least in the Kung Fu, the Tai Chi Chuan, yielding is a blend of giving a little bit as you put yourself in a better position. So as part of that process, I wanted to work on a little bit and bring that skill set up to you. Any questions? That's a lot to chew on. I recorded it, so you'll be able to download it later and listen to it. But write this kind of stuff down. So what are the three things a criminal is going to use to take advantage of you? Bader, give me one. Don't look.
Timing, space,
okay, and intensity. That's the reason why they say that a criminal can do more with a brick than most martial artists can do with 100 forms. All right, so now let's loosen up a little bit. But not on our watch. We're going to practice. We're going to beat it into you. Or out of you, that's right. Thank you. Oh, as I'm talking with you too, next week I have to work. Next Tuesday evening, Ryan is going to pick up the mental meal, and he's going to have a curriculum for you. Some of it's going to be a blend of some of the stuff we're doing this evening. Go the other way. But then he's going to bring his own little flair to it. He can't help it, so.
Because I'm a different person.
You're a different person, and you've earned the right to do it, right? After all these years, hips. And Kim's here this evening, drug himself out of the woods. Where do you live?
Timberlake,
the woods.
Yeah, rural America.
Rural America. Does that exist anymore? Let's turn. Let's turn around. I mean, even in North Carolina, rural America. I'm trying to think of where that exists right now in North Carolina. You can't go up to the mountains and find rural North Carolina. It's just a mountain with Wi-Fi. All right, spread it out. Dragon whips his tail. Oh! I was feeling kind of puny this morning when I was teaching class, and I was like, my dragon can't whip its tail today. Oh. My dragon was wagging his tail, no whipping. All right, bring it in, feet together. Little boy prays, take the hands in a prayer, raise them up, fold them over the back, the heels on the back of the head. Drop your nose, looking down at the ground, then roll your back bone by bone. Oh! Then you unfold the hands toward the earth. Is that all you got, McCann?
My hamstrings
Your hamstrings.
are feeling the results of way too much driving.
Hands just above your knees. He's half my age too. I just stretch out. Turn, look behind you. It's almost a shame I'm seeing so many blooms in February. Old man Winter ought to be ashamed of himself.
It's full spring.
Full spring. Yeah, sure is a lot of it going around. Turn, look behind you, going the other way. Glad you made it, Mariel. Good, come back. Roll your back up. Oh, yes. There we go. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of posting, and then we'll do a little bit of movement, okay? And I think we're going to work a little bit more on cloud hands. One of the things I've noticed with quite a few of the folks is cloud hands is still a dilemma. You cannot practice cloud hands and bat walking monkey too much, ever, right? And in fact, if you only wanted to remember a couple of things about Tai Chi, cloud hands, dragon stirred the sea, bat walking monkey, single whip, and you're pretty much covered, right? You could get by. Maybe you could throw out single whip and toss in brush knees if you wanted to, right? I mean, you pick a formula, but really get something in there, okay? For me, it became backhand intercept center punch. That became my, in the middle of my night, I dream of doing it. It doesn't matter where I'm at, right? That comes out, right? All right, so let's take feet about shoulder width apart. And Ryan, how about you sliding over this way a little bit? Vicki, can you see Ryan? Okay, there you go. So Vicki can see. There you go. Perfect. All right, so good. Now the hands are going to float up just a little bit. Let's hold the moon. Feel the palms for a moment. Just let your mind get in there and put some work in there. Let them attract to each other. Breathe steady. When we get quiet and still, the perception of time, perception of space, is something that we become attuned to. If your mind is rushing, it feels like time passes so slow. For a moment, I want you to allow your arms to spread out. Level your shoulders, palm toward the sky. Very much like the sky posture in Bakwa. Number 3. Imagine a fishbowl in each palm. That's about halfway full. So it's got a little weight to it. Using your mind and starting with your shoulders, I want you to just begin circling the fish bowls. Using your palms so you can begin to feel the water begin to swirl in those fish bowls. Never in a rush. Now I'd like for you to let the hand stop, but the mind continues swirling the fish bowls. From your spine out to the palms. Good. Bring your hands into a prayer hand. And I'd like for you to take and move your palms, your prayer hands over to your left shoulder, down toward your left hip. Try to keep them together. Slide across your body to the right hip. And then pull up toward your right shoulder. And then back to the center. Now, reverse that square, that rectangle, over to the right shoulder, down to the right hip, slide it across your body, up to the left shoulder, back to the middle. Open up both palms into push the sky posture, okay? And I want you to imagine, for example, a couple of old-timey truck springs, one against each palm as if you're pushing them against a wall, just holding them up against a wall. Now I want you to hold the left one still for a moment, keep it up against the wall, and then push with your right hand. Push that truck spring in. And then you let it back off. There you go, then push in the other one. About halfway in, and now you allow it to come back out. We're going to do 5 to each side. Press. Yield. Press it in. And then yield as you feel it coming. Press. And out. Let it back out. Push it in. And back. That's 6. 2 more to each side. Push. Let it out. Push. Let it out. 1 more to each side. Push. Let it out. Good. 1 more time. Push. Good. All right, taking a breath. As you exhale, circle out the palms, stretch them out a little bit, let them come down to the abdomen, and just rest for a moment. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Since I have Ryan with me, what we're going to do, so I'm going to face here, Ryan, we're going to do the fire set. Okay. Y'all are watching Ryan. Okay. Online is watching me, or at least from the back view, you can watch wherever you want to go. Okay? So the hands are going to float. And down. Good. Shift. Hold the baby on the right hip. Step out. Good. Step up. Yield, roll back to the side. Keep your poise. The hand floats, now pressing in. Wash the back of your hand. And then press down and out. Use your intention. Good. Hold the moon and sit back. Turn, and then separate the clouds. Step out, mirror hand. Yield and roll back. Pressing down the center, G. Wash your hand, back of your hand, sitting back, and press. Good. Clear the table. Step out, single whip. Bend the back knee and sit back a little bit. Fan the arms over to the corner. And cut. Open. Crane cools wings. The right hand and toe are going to rise. Clear the table the other way. Single whip. Good. Bend the rear knee, sit back a little bit, fan the arms over. Cut. Open. I'm going to see if I got it a little bit more in me, okay? So let the hands float, toe up. Turn, answer the phone, and brush knee. Turn the forward toe out a little bit and then climb up the ladder into the golden rooster. Then step back into your hand lift. Fold, answer the phone, step out, brush knee. Turn the toe out a little bit, come up to your golden rooster, and back. Good. Well, let's just go ahead. We'll try it. Roll back, yield. The hands float up to the ear. Backhand, intercept. Sit back, the white snake stretches out, then it rolls through the grass, and then spits poison, it strikes. Hand floats under the elbow, and two-hand press. Stay right there for just a moment. There we go, everybody together. There we go. All right, we reach up and out, then yield and come back. The hands float up, backhand, intercept. Then the white snake stretches out, rolls through the grass, then spits poison, it strikes. The hand floats under the elbow and out. Sit back, push the sky, step out, gather the clouds, don't rip pants. Okay, step up. Good. Okay. Any comments or questions in the audience here? Nah? Okay. How about online? Y'all like that? Okay, so the main lessons about tonight is, remember, timing. You're practicing timing. And timing is part of your perception, right? It's you learning to slow things down enough. You're not just learning to move slow. You're learning to move slow because sometimes that's exactly how you get lured into traps. It's because you're not perceiving what's happening around you. So learning that your skills are associated with your perceptions and practicing it. So sometimes Tai Chi moves slow just so the practitioner learns how to do things properly, but they're paying attention to themselves. And then it will go on to say that once the practitioner understands that, they will understand true strength. And when they understand true strength, their Kung Fu just escalates. But true strength isn't about muscular strength. It's about your heart and mind working together. When a human being's heart and mind is working together with their body, they're almost unstoppable, and no matter what pursuits they take. Okay? So anyway, fantastic practice this evening. All the way around. Yep. Love y'all. See you later.